Greetings, Portal Masters! Toys for Bob is celebrating the 10th anniversary of the release of Skylanders Giants, so we wanted to share with you some developer stories on the making of the game. We brought together members of the original team to talk about their favorite experiences. So, let's get to it.
The game looks pretty good on the Xbox. This is 360?
Yes, it is.
I had a lot of fun doing this.
I mean, the thing I like about it is, you know, I loved SSA, the Core of Light, and all of that really worked well, but, you know, just everything right here, and you don't have to schlep your way around.
Yes, that was high on the priority list. The schlepping through the hub all the time, not so much.
I love how the music changes when you get close to this thing.
It was so great. Stefan did such a great job remixing it. I think it also changes like one with just orchestral. If you go into another one of the rooms as well. It's been so long, right?
I know. It's funny.
How long has it been? Oh yeah, 10 years.
Oh
10
yeah,
years.
10 years.
20 years.
2 years.
Luckily, there was so much of the assets that we already had built, and so much of the animation we were already using. Stuff like that really
Look at all those extras.
cut down the time.
I know. Yeah, but from a design standpoint, this was like one of my favorite projects to work on because there was so little time.
Right.
There was no hesitation on anything. There was no going back and forth. It was like run and gun, baby.
It was what's the innovation? Bigger.
Yeah, the main thing was getting the Giants right.
We could do stuff like that. You could pick up
Yes.
rocks and throw them.
Rocks.
You could grab those big chains and pull islands. To
Yeah,
do.
the feats of strength were a big thing.
Yeah.
We had a good time putting those together as well.
I knew one day help would come, and here you are.
Nordicus.
Follow me.
That's right, all these characters have their little twists on their names.
Yeah, later on there's a
ancestors.
Barnsey. There's a Barnsey later
Dope.
on.
Everyone,
Dope.
Skylanders are here. They're gonna
Nordicus was a reference to hero designer Nat Lowe.
way into the tunnels.
It was one of the nicknames that we had for him, Nort.
That guy, Gigantus.
There it is, the fake giant.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
NPC giant.
Hey, he tells you everything you need to know.
They're great.
It's giant.
It's a good talk loop. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was a T-Rex skin.
Yep.
Yes, he was. I mean, he's definitely sharing a lot of the animations. Look at that hold.
Let's go.
I can't remember if we prototyped a lot of these giants mechanics towards the end of closing out SSA, or if that was
We did.
hot
You
off the
remember-
wheels.
I remember you and I worked on that short where they kind of wandered across a map, threw a rock, pulled an island in. Like, I think we tested out a lot of those ideas just visually to see how they would feel. I definitely remember it ended with the island pole, and that was like the big closing.
I have to say, those footprints when they're walking right there, and you see it looks like he's growing little trees at the bottom. That's so cool.
They're all custom too. Every giant has, I think, its own footprint effect. And then look at that slow motion when we kill multiple characters at once. So these cinematics with all these extras were a labor of love from some designers that we had at the time. Because for Giants, our cinematic tools were still design focused. They were done in script for the most part. So any extra Mabu you see there, or any extras like them attacking each other or doing anything in the world, was the work of Chris Antonucci and Troy Gonzalez going through and scripting all those things to happen as they pass by the camera.
George Takei, right?
Yep.
George Takei.
That was exciting when we found out that he was going to be the voice actor.
This one had a lot of exciting voices with George Takei, and then we had Bobcat Goldthwait as the alchemist.
Pop
Sorry,
Pop
Fizz.
Fizz.
I'm sorry. Dead names for me only for Skylanders.
I did this one. That explosion of the Babu
There it
scaffolding.
is.
Very pleased with that one. I was.
I love Takei in this role. It was wonderful.
Yeah, agreed.
Does that put us at 1 degree of separation from George Takei?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, there we
Yes.
go. 1 degree. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Ray, I think you missed a few objectives.
I don't know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. 100%. Okay, sorry, we're skipping this.
Aw.
Sorry.
Bubby.
Dude, every cutscene has to have a skip button. Come on now.
Hey.
Sorry, Andy.
Hey. Wouldn't have the sliding in parallel parking.
Oh, yeah.
So the reason for that was a bug that happened very, very late. And the bug was the cinematic had the ship land one way, and in the game it was the other way. And for some reason, instead of switching the way it was in game, we redid the animation.
It was cheaper.
And spun it in the animation.
Pretty sure it's because you asked designer. We said, nah.
Can you turn it? No.
Crazy deja vu. I've not seen any of this in 10 years.
9.5 years exactly.
Since the day that it left the office.
Yo.
I've not looked at it.
Do you remember how like throwing the bomb and like turning the key required for the Wii mode like an actual motion control?
Right.
How many TVs do you think we broke as a result?
There it is. Chain pull.
Sell it.
This might be the only sound effect I actually created for this game.
Just like the storyboards. Look at that.
And here's the punchline. I already collected the chest, so there's nothing. Thank you for your work.
Yeah.
This was the vertical slice, yeah.
For those at home, that means the level that we build, start to finish, playable before we do any other levels, so that we can show off of what the tone of the game is going to be, what the art style is going to be.
To reprove to Activision that we have some idea what we're doing. To re-trick them.
Speaking of reproving, wasn't this also the map mesh we used for the first playable for Trap Team?
I think you're right.
For the proof of concept for Trap Team. So in 2 years we can talk about that.
There you go.
Feet of strength.
Push. There we go.
Yeah, it looks like some Pollyanna animation right there. Nobody can get objects moving through a level like Paul.
Look at that, Flynn looking up at the giant.
Yes.
That took some work.
Boy. Yeah, I remember that. That was hard. He turns if you go all the way around him.
Yeah.
Go behind him. Yeah, do it. Do it. Look at him. Yep.
Making him dizzy.
Silky smooth.
Surprisingly difficult.
You know, Oric really gives me money bag vibes for the Spyro universe.
Almost like
Almost like it was planned that way.
Same family tree? I don't know.
I remember sourcing that music.
Wait, was that a Lorne Balfe original, Dan? Or where did that
I
come
don't
from?
think that was a Lorne original.
Okay.
I think this one had I think the soundtrack of this Skylanders was my favorite of the whole series, actually. I remember when Lorne delivered it, being really amazed by what a great job he did on the tracks.
Yeah.
And he wasn't known when we started to work with him. Do you remember, like, we worked with Hans Zimmer on the first one, and then Lorne was part of Hans's crew, and now Lorne is like the biggest composer in Hollywood.
The side areas, little caves and secret areas, the ambient mixes that came out of those Balfe tracks, just love them.
There's also like the Willikin Village has this incredible combat music that matches perfectly with the original, and it just shifts between them depending on whether you're in combat or when you switch the different modes to the other world, the Willikin world versus when they're asleep.
You know, Ray, so funny you mentioned that one, because that was my favorite piece of the whole soundtrack. Was the theme to Willikin. I remember hearing that the first time I was in Scotland when Lorne delivered it. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
Well, it is a game called Giants, and the robots are large.
Good point.
Thank you, Dan.
Beyond.
Yes,
Now,
and
does-
beyond.
Does Machine Ghost die at the end of this level?
No, don't
Spoilers, dude! Oh,
Or does he?
How can a ghost
oh,
die?
that's it. I quit. I'm out of here.
Didn't we do his death scene and we like went with violins and we tried to really sell it, and then in the last level in the game he just like swings back in with no explanation. It's so good.
We didn't know about that when we planned the death.
Uh-oh.
Hey,
Here
I
we
can
go.
do this one.
Oh,
There we go.
almost out of moves.
Amazing.
Did that little guy in the puzzle have a name?
The imp. I don't know. He was just
Lockmaster,
Lockmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More of a file name really than that.
Yeah, it's development names only. Yeah,
How dare you
Lockmaster.
diminish his contribution?
The amount of time we spent on that magic moment, the timing of it, the audio of it. Was it ever called the magic moment in release, or was
No.
that just internal?
It's just internally.
Yeah. Looks like that enemy was having a. I mean,
He's finding his path. Don't worry.
Bug-free. Come on.
I don't think we were using any official path-finding system in this game.
Yeah, I don't think
just
so.
waypoints, right?
Yeah.
oh, do you have to do this one, Ray?
Gotta do it.
Oh.
I think
Oh,
Lockmaster
boy.
Imp was actually Errol Lotus. He did our announcer stuff, among other key responsibilities.
He was the voice of it?
Yeah, he was just come up really high.
Yeah. Ray, what was your when you were testing the level? Did you have a turn to Skylander that's just your daily tester?
It's always been Prison Break. Just the hot laser death that he delivers. I'll show you. Where'd he go? He's right here.
And it's the light core one.
How did you convince them to let you make a level this big, right?
This was a mistake. They never let me do it again. They never let
I
me
was
do
gonna
this
say,
one again.
the scale of this compared to like the other levels that I can think of is they're not even in the same ballpark.
Duration.
See, we weren't necessarily going by length of level as amount of time it kept Ray busy.
Yeah. You'll notice I actually only did 2 levels for this game, and they were both monstrous.
Monster levels, like you go nuts.
Here we go.
Everyone's gonna be fine, right?
Why I'm wearing glasses so you can't see me get emotional.
I love to stay and chat, but I'm afraid I have a map to steal.
Yeah, why did you just do that in the beginning, Ray? Just walk up to the mountain and beat it to death.
Just wreck a mountain.
Oh, those rocks hurt a lot more than it might have looked. Don't think I'm going to do something.
So Andy and I talked about this earlier. Like, were we going to kill this guy? It was back and forth. You know, the edict came, well, we can't just have the player have a giant robot for the rest of the game, otherwise why would they be in anything except the giant robot? So we came up with, okay, we got to separate the character. Well, what will we do? So wound up killing him off.
Yeah, and because this wasn't a part of the narrative originally, it required a little bit of extra work. And I remember this was one of the only parts of the game that I ever did basically concept art for what I wanted that final area to look like, with dark with that single beam of light. And I drew it up and I handed it to one of our level designers, Anthony Hahn, and he just kind of went away for a while and came back and nailed it. Like, he got it exactly the way we wanted. And then Ray was able to take the Machine Ghost talking animation and click it in and out of existence and blend it with the T-pose, which, as an animator, a T-pose is something we're very familiar with and nothing that any of us thought of. So Ray came up with that idea, and having him break and go into sort of the generic broken animation pose, the animators all went berserk. We thought it was great. When we finished it, we were really happy with it. Dan Neal put a great, like the sad horns over the outro of it. And every game after Giants, if you ever talked to anybody down at Activision about like what they remember of the story and like the kind of things they wanted us to do again, they brought up Machine Ghost as a sort of example of the storytelling that we were able to get away with, and sort of the poignancy and the charm of it. And it became almost something to aspire to in the other games. Once we said what we were going to do, to pull it off in a way that felt, you know, sad. I mean, I grew up watching The Secret of Nim and The Dark Crystal and all these things when I was a kid. Like, entertainment had an edge, and I wanted to do something like that in here, you know, but still keep it sort of age appropriate, but still have some emotion in it.
I think this is where we exploded the concept of what if a giant robot stepped in time with music to what if an entire level
Everything on this level is in time.
So when I was asked to work on the boss for this, I remember Alex Ness, who had contributed significantly to the script and tone. He'd asked me if I had any ideas on what the boss could be like or any personalities. And at the time, like, dubstep was gaining in popularity and somewhat ridiculed, and also I think Rebecca Black's Friday was like kind of in the cultural sphere of things. So I sent to Alex as a joke, like, what if the boss had like auto-tuned dubstep things? And like I didn't expect this. so they ran with it and just like, all right, cool, yeah, we'll have some rhyming things and go with the dubstep theme. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's go with it. And it's a great example how, like, if you don't take your work too seriously, some of the best things can happen, because the creativity comes from not just like necessarily taking everything literally or needing to define it so constrained. So it's just an amazing kind of aspect of like what happens when you just enjoy the work that you do. Come up with some crazy stuff that is just so fun and memorable.
You never know how far somebody can run with your crazy idea either. Like, you put the idea of a dubstep robot in front of a sound team and something cool is gonna happen.
Well, we liked Drillex so much too that he was featured again in a Christmas video themed around Giants.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He had a command performance. He came back.
We keep the streak alive.
I'm timing you, Ray.
Huh.
What do you do? What do you do?
And then stops.
I thought this was a kid's game.
This game sucks.
Who came up with this?
This is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
The ticking in the background is making it
Yeah,
more
the
intense.
ticking's not helping.
All right.
I
You've been
remember
here
this
before.
feeling. I remember this feeling trying to play all the levels to test them, and just this. Whenever I hit these, it was just random left, random right.
Yes.
It's
like,
just
I
like,
have no
turn it-
idea.
it's like turning
I
a Rubik's
got
Cube.
it,
Like, I don't know
got
what
it,
I'm
got
doing.
it.
There you go.
Right.
Sorry, sorry.
So does the move counter go to triple digits, or what are we doing here?
I do like the strains of the Drillex song though that are playing in the background. Every now and then you get the horns, the swell of the brass.
Little teasers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Ray, how do you know where to attack?
Intuition, really.
Kind of subtle.
Adrian, you did the bouncing ball, right?
I did. Version of subtitles, yo. Hi. I remember that we got this back from localization, and like the length of the different texts on different languages, the bouncing ball was not correct, so we ended up removing the bouncing ball for most releases. All of it was hard coding, so whatever.
Did we have the subtitles in all languages and it filled in with color but just lost the ball?
I think it may have filled in with color, but that maybe like didn't rhythmically actually have the bouncing ball, something like that.
Hey Paul, do you remember you use a lip syncing tool on this one?
Yeah. I call it more of a jaw flapper than anything else.
We
We budget for lips.
Got him.
That is so catchy.
Beautiful animation. Yeah, it's awesome.
Custom death animation.
Yeah, really. That was cool.
Yeah. I don't remember who worked on that. I think Paul, you did some of that. Some Dave. I think Jeff Cooperman worked on that as well. Or a lot of people on that sequence.
I was very involved.
Run! Run! So satisfying.
You gotta have a rolly ball in every game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put Melman on top of it.
I know.
Oh.
Hells yeah. That was fun.
How'd you come up with all the helmets that they're wearing?
Hats.
Oh, hats. My bad.
those are hats,
I heard the
yeah.
word helmet and rolled with it.
I feel like it's probably an E-Way thing.
That's always been a Toys for Bob tradition. Lots and lots of hats.
Hats for stats.
You haven't seen Spyro at all here. What's going
Oh,
on?
now you've done it.
There we go.
With the bunny ears.
Nice.
Oh.
Rollup, was this you on this level?
Yeah.
I love this area.
Skylanders of the water element are stronger in this zone.
No! Oh, I suck.
Oh, Ray.
So close.
Can't jump.
Thank you,
A
Obi-Wan.
reminder.
This isn't Crash Bandicoot.
That's right.
Yeah, the normal Skylanders and well, the non-giant Skylanders in Giants, I remember I felt really cool because I felt like all the hero designers had a bunch of ideas during SSA that we just didn't have time to turn into heroes. So we did hit the ground running right when SSA ended and started working on new characters, and I just remember a lot of more complicated designs, like with the Alchemist or Poptiz changing from one character to another, or Sprocket going from a running character to a character in a tank. Like there's just, the ideas started to get wilder. I think we got some of our most interesting and unusual characters out of Giants.
Looking at some of these enemies, they're so cool. I kind of want to play as them as playable characters. And SSA had that as like kind of a tease. You got to fight these bad Skylanders as a tease for you should go and find that character.
Well, we squared that at the end with Trap Team, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Literally what you do.
Oh, we need Chris Nelson here for this.
Behold, it is I, Chaos.
I was lucky enough to animate this sequence, including the boss fight, along with the designer Chris Nelson. This one was definitely the most ambitious in terms of like bouncing back and forth between gameplay and cinematic, gameplay and cinematic.
You got to switch to Crash Bandicoot, right?
Perfect.
And neither Eon nor any of your idiot friends can save you now.
Why don't you pick on someone your own size?
Machine Ghost.
Hooray!
This of Arcus shield me from this fool.
Skylander, that's the iron fist of Arcus. Hit it while it's vulnerable.
You and that stupid Skylander.
The other way to know a Chris Nelson boss fight. If it's a bullet hell boss fight, Chris Nelson did it.
That's the signature.
Or if you find a way to, you could finesse it, he'd heal you, or if you could run really close to a Doom Shark, you'd get health instead of lose health. like the amount of just understanding of that type of gameplay, which works really well when you have a wide range of different characters that can't jump. Like, it does have to be about agility.
There's so much to look at, but it's all so pretty. Like, all of the colors come together. It's just like very like organized chaos. I love it.
Yeah, these sequences, because like between every part of the boss fight, there's like a cinematic basically, and during the boss fight, there's two animated characters working independently and like grabbing each other. These sorts of contacts aren't easy to pull off. There was a happy accident, and I haven't seen it yet, but as Chaos extends his hand and spawns the Archeans during the fight, later on in the fight, as he starts to spawn more Archeans, some of them don't land on the platform. And I don't think that was originally intended, but we liked it, or Chris especially liked it, because it's late in the fight and Chaos is starting to get damaged and have difficulty just maintain. He starts to get really angry. And so we felt like them spawning, the falling immediately into the pit and things like that felt like it fit. There you go. Into the pit.
Ah, jeez.
Dude, those robot hits are just so great and chunky. It's just like watching Pacific Rim or something. I love it.
Hooray!
Nice.
I was trying to imagine how Chris even scripted all those patterns. Boggles my mind.
It was amazing. He also had a switcher so he could jump ahead to different phases of the fight, so you didn't have to go through the whole thing every time. And that too was like, after this fight, I was like, you need to put that in every single boss fight you do, because there's too many phases.
All right, sweet.
Oh, also, if anybody hasn't done it, the music during that boss fight is amazing. Like, it flows between Chaos's theme to the other different themes in the game, and the final, like, it sort of goes dubsteppy to the victory theme. There's some of my favorite work from the sound team, both Dan and Stefan. It's just incredible work on it.
And circling back around to the beginning, it's amazing we did all this in a year, kids.
Yeah, I know.
Just crazy.
Yeah, it was one of those where we told Activision, well, we could probably pull it off, but it's not going to be as big. It's probably only going to be like 70% as big as SSA was. And they were like, okay, sure. And then we just kept throwing stuff into it, and the levels, each level I think is significantly longer than, I think there's more content here.
I know what these two of them are.
It's not going to be as big, but we're going to call the game Giants.
That's right. That's right. It's Giants at 70% size, but still.
This is my favorite gag in the game. The 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
What's wrong with you, robots? But I haven't won yet.
I forgot about that. Poof.
Skylanders is safe for now. But I have a feeling that more adventures are right around the corner. The journey with your Skylanders and your Giants is only just beginning.
Right around the corner, 2 years from now.
2 years.